Spoilers alert, Team Falcons have won TI14. While everybody's most likely going to agree that Amar is the MVP, especially in the Grand Finals.
And this is just the beginning.
I had to make a video about the insane performance of Sneyking. Everybody's about ATF and Marlene, but Sneyking had an insane performance in every single game in the international. So in this video, we're gonna go through Sneyking and analyze his insane plays, especially in game 5. Let's not waste any more time and go.
Down side to side like a roller coaster.
So generally, everything about Team Falcon was insane. But Sneyking, for me, had an insane performance. Why is that? Basically, he had an insane laning stage, he understood what he had to do, and he was always pushing waves, stacking, gathering information, placing observers, denying with sentries the enemy vision, and most importantly for a position 5 player, is that he was constantly high in net worth, which ends up being really useful later in the game with different items. So the first thing that I'm actually surprised by Sneyking to deny as much XP from the enemies as possible. Why is that important and when do you get to do that? This is mainly a tool where the laning stage is going to be a draw basically and you want to deny enemies as much as possible. So in this situation, they have a Medusa. It's not really the type of lane that you can get to kill a lot of enemies. And as a result, what do? You half pull and you deny as much XP and farm from the enemies as possible. Basically, he keeps trying to harass the enemy Shadow Demon and then at 420, he gets to actually do the same thing. Now look what this half pull ends up doing. This half pull forces the enemy offlaner to actually go and contest the pull. Because if he doesn't get to do that, he's gonna stay really far behind in XP and gold. As a result, he goes to contest the small camp, and what happens? The Disruptor teleports and they get to take first blood. This is an insane continuation of action. You get to half pull, enemies are actually forced to come and contest, otherwise you're gonna keep losing. They get literally half a wave every 2 waves. It's insane. They have to contest, and as a result, they DP, they net, and they get to die and they give first blood. This is some insane stuff here. Also, really important that Sneyking is always pushing them away when they try to contest the small camp. He really forces the Shadow Demon to get away from him so he can constantly get to pull. He doesn't want Shadow Demon to go there and body block the camp. One really surprising stuff for me is that it's a position 5 player and at 6 minutes in he goes for the rune. This is really important to mention something. This is only allowed if your safe laner can be fine on his own. Otherwise, it is not advised to do that. The alternative option, let's say if you have something more aggressive like a Jakiro, a Lich, a CM, is to actually stay in the lane and pressure the enemy offlaner, in this situation the Earthshaker, while he's alone. We know that the enemy position 4, his job quote to quote, it's to go and contest the 6-minute active rune. As a result, we know, if you've seen especially this video, that you can actually pressure the enemy offlaner. Now, if you think about it, this is the same mentality as small camp. He can't really pressure an 1k HP Earthshaker with a Medusa as position 1 and a Naga as position 5. As a result, the best play is indeed to go and help the mid laner to take the active rune, which is really important. Funnily enough, one of the main reasons why they actually have won the last game is because Marlene got the early active runes and he actually made plays, whereas Shadowfiend was really unlucky in this situation and he actually didn't get any rune. The outcome of the game would probably be different if Shadowfiend had some early runes to deny from the Pango to make moves, and actually Shadowfiend would find some kills, especially on Medusa. Needless to say also that his early itemization is insane. Look at 620, look at this insane play, the raindrops. We've been saying that in the channel for years now. Buy raindrops, guys, it's one of the best items early on. At 7 minutes in, I'm really surprised because yeah, it's a Naga Siren and you can get to actually scout with illusions and stuff, but he gets to check for stacks and overall contest. This is really smart, especially right now in this meta, that this is actually stacking meta. There are a lot of Sneyking, there are a lot of Earthshakers, right? And yeah, no, you're gonna say that he has a Naga, you can get to do that, but the smart move, which I get to do that after analyzing Sneyking, is that they get to place deep observer ward in the enemy triangle, especially in the nighttime, 5:30, just to see if enemies have stacks. If they have stacks, great, we can get to go, we can get to see, we can get to contest. If they don't have stack and they have done nothing to the triangle, it's fine, because at some point somebody is going to farm triangle for the next 6-7 minutes in that you're gonna have vision there, and you have an easy target to smoke and pick off. Overall, one other thing that I'm really surprised about Sneyking is that throughout the game he gets to stack, farm uncontested jungle creeps or simply push waves. And he does that by maxing his only ability that deals damage to creeps, and he even gets to farm enemy camps, for example, to deny enemies as much farm as possible. And usually the team that farms more is a team that wins Dota as long as you push waves. I'm really amazed by Sneyking about the amount of farm that he got in the map, and yes, he has Naga, but to be honest guys, there is so much uncontested farming in the map, especially in the lower brackets, that you can basically just push waves and you're going to be fairly high net worth and you're gonna have a lot of gold and a lot of impact. Now, this is not the same as, oh, my position 5 is AFK farming. This is basically, you read the map, nothing is about to happen, and you try to push especially the dead lane. Basically, you're on your own and you're pushing, and what you try to do is make somebody to react to your split pushing, right? And this is what Sneyking did, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Now, needless to say, overall, Team Falcon, every single game, generally every team actually did that, they tried to contest the Tormentor. And this is something that we saw from Liquid last year and from Team Spirit 2 years before. Tormentor is super important and we don't get to actually see that a lot in the pubs, and I really wanna emphasize this, especially on the core players, because Tormentor basically dies from core players, especially post 1, post 2 players, right? Please help your supports, take that Tormentor, take that Aghanim shard. It's really important, really useful, and if there's something that we should learn from Team Falcons and generally from this video is go for the Tormentor. It's super impactful. Now, after the Tormentor, this is a really smart move, right? They try to smoke to take the enemy Wisdom on 10-1. Now, this is, I want to say, classic move, but yet again, I really want to emphasize something for knowledge. Generally, players, especially in the higher ranks, we get to usually smoke in the daytime. Why is that? It's very simple. The smoke in the daytime, you can get to see the enemies, but the smoke doesn't break. Whereas in the nighttime, it gets to break the moment you get to see them. So basically, it makes more sense to smoke in the daytime. That's why it's better to smoke for the 21-minute XP rune rather than for the 14 or the 28. Another thing that I'm really surprised that it's a little bit Naga specific, but you can get to do that with different heroes, right? For example, Wyvern maybe, Crystal Maiden with Shard, is that he sends illusions behind the towers to cut waves, which is essentially too much pressure, right? Because then your wave is going to appear in front of the tower and enemies kinda have to react. How can you do that though with heroes that are not really that great? You know, if you have a CM, you can just walk there and you can just throw your shard and you can just go back. There are heroes like Disruptor that you can't really get to do that, but even Jakiro, you can get to Dual Breath, you can get to Liquid Fire and the wave is gonna die, or you can even ultimate. But the uniqueness of Naga is that you don't really get to expose yourself, so there's no threat because you can die, it's just the illusions. Another fact that I actually found really useful is that throughout all Team Falcon, they really try to take every single lotus and combine them, which I mean in this game makes a lot of sense. There is a Medusa, right? So you really want to give her the boost. If she gets low on mana, you can pass this greater lotus and all of a sudden she's back full of mana, you know, and she's there fighting. But it's a great thing to actually, if you have a team, of course, this is more of a team thing, but if you can combine all the lotuses and everybody picks them up in the end, it's super important and you can get to see the impact later on. Overall, his level of efficiency later on is just insane. The execution, the items, he buys pipe, he buys solar, he buys arcane boots, it's all about Medusa and just assisting the Medusa, right? I'm surprised because while game 5 was a farm fest, Slowly and steadily, the efficiency of the player made the difference. Sneyking throughout the Tormentor from the laning stage, then getting more levels and cutting waves, made the difference and made indirectly Medusa too strong. And if we can get to see his other performances, especially his signature Enchantress, he's pushing waves, he's farming camps, he's constantly staying up, applying pressure in the map, which once again I'm going to say that it's not AFK farming, it's actually pressuring the map, it's pressuring enemies to react. And if they react, you get to see vision, you get to see they react, and you get to gather information. And if you gather information, then you can get to smoke because you get to see them in the map. It's an absolute performance. It's a 10 out of 10 performance from Sneyking, which I think it got so unnoticed that it's kinda sad. You know, everybody's all about the core players, but the position 5 has never been spotted, right? But don't worry, my man, I spotted you, and yeah, you did absolutely great and a well-deserved victory. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. There is a lot to learn from these players and hopefully from my analysis about the small things that we need to do more intensely. Hopefully you liked the video. Make sure you subscribe, like and comment. That would actually motivate me a lot. And before I close the video, shout out to the random guy that actually noticed me in the TI and asked me to get a picture. My man, you actually made my day. GG Raza, and I'll see you on the next video. Hey guys, real quick, if you did like this video, make sure you subscribe, like and comment, as it motivates us a lot to keep making these videos and these guides. And of course, make sure you check out our 6-month coaching program. It's almost guaranteed. That's gonna get you to the next metal, if not metals. The link is gonna be down in the descriptions. Make sure you click it and apply right now.